It's one of the scariest feelings you can have, right? A sudden pain in your chest, a tightness that just grabs you. In your mind, it just sprints to the worst-case scenario. But then, you go to the doctor, they run all the tests, and they tell you your heart is perfectly fine. So what's going on? That's the mystery we're diving into today, that pain in your chest when it's not your heart.
And wow, this quote from anxietycenter.com just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That squeezing band, the sharp stabbing pain, it's a feeling so many people instantly and unfortunately recognize. It's that awful sensation of a grip on your chest that just sends a wave of pure fear through your body.
And that fear, it brings us right to the big question, the one at the center of this whole thing. Is what I'm feeling a heart attack, or is it anxiety? In that moment, trying to tell the difference can feel absolutely impossible. But understanding what's going on is so crucial.
So first things first, our first step in this whole investigation is to do exactly what a doctor would do. We're in section 1, ruling out the heart, because that is always priority number 1.
Okay, and I really need to pause here, because this is, without a doubt, the most important message in this entire explainer. Let's be crystal clear. If you are having new, severe, or chest symptoms you can't explain, you always seek emergency medical care, period. Before we even think about any other cause, the first thing to do is make sure it's not a life-threatening heart issue.
So once the doctors have given your heart the all clear, you might walk away with this term, non-cardiac chest pain, or NCCP. Now, what's interesting about NCCP is that it's not a specific disease. It's what's known as a diagnosis of exclusion. All that means is that the doctors have confirmed what the pain isn't, which leaves us with the mystery of figuring out what it is.
This chart here can give us a few clues, but remember, these are just general guidelines, not hard and fast rules. You see, with anxiety, the pain is often described as sharp, kind of stabby, and it can pop up even when you're just sitting around. A heart attack, on the other hand, is more often that classic crushing, heavy pressure that gets worse with physical effort. But again, these are just tendencies, which is exactly why you always let a professional make the call. All right, let's move on. Now that we've cleared the heart, we can start looking at the lineup of other potential suspects. Welcome to Section 2, the non-cardiac culprits.
And you might be surprised at just how wide the net is here. The cause could be anything from gastrointestinal problems to a simple musculoskeletal strain, like you pulled a chest muscle, to different respiratory conditions. And of course, the big one we're focusing on today, psychiatric conditions, like anxiety.
Now check this out. It might seem a little random, but a huge percentage of all NCCP cases, we're talking 30 to 60%, are actually caused by gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD. You probably know it as acid reflux or heartburn. That burning feeling can absolutely feel like it's coming from your heart.
But there's another really common trigger, one that often flies right under the radar, and it's the key to our whole mystery, and that's the mind itself.
Okay, this is where it all starts to click. Let's jump into Section 3, how stress creates real pain. This is the aha moment, where we connect what's happening in our head to what's happening in our chest.
So it all starts with this. When you experience a really strong emotion, like intense fear, panic, or even just major worry, it's like an alarm bell goes off in your brain. And that alarm immediately triggers the body's ancient, hardwired survival system, the fight or flight response.
And it happens in this crazy fast chain reaction. First, your brain senses a threat, and it doesn't care if it's a real lion or just an anxious thought. Second, it pumps your body full of stress hormones like adrenaline. And third, your body reacts instantly. Your heart starts racing, your blood pressure goes up, and, this is key, your chest muscles clench up, bracing for impact.
That muscle tightening is a huge piece of the puzzle, but it can also kick off something called a vicious circle of hyperventilation. It's a total feedback loop. The fear and tightness make you start taking shallow breaths or overbreathing. That weird breathing pattern creates very real, very scary physical symptoms, which naturally makes you even more scared, and around it goes. And just look at the symptoms this vicious circle can cook up. Tightness in your chest, feeling like you can't get a deep breath, a pounding heartbeat, dizziness, even tingling or numbness. Do any of these sound familiar? They're the exact same things that make us panic about a heart attack, but they can be a direct result of the way anxiety changes our breathing. So we get the how. Now for the most important part, what can we actually do about it? Let's move into Section 4 and start building your very own management toolkit. We're going to split our approach into two different toolkits, really. First, we have the in-the-moment tools.
Things you can do to calm that stress response right when it's happening. And then we have our long-term healing strategies, which are all about making your whole nervous system stronger and more resilient over time.
For that, right now, in-the-moment relief, one of the most powerful things you can do is controlled breathing. This is often called box breathing, and it's incredibly simple. First, just let all the air out. Then, breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold it for a count of 4, and then breathe out slowly through your mouth, again for a count of 4. Just doing that a few times can break that hyperventilation cycle.
Here's another amazing tool for when you're feeling totally overwhelmed. It's called sensory grounding, and it's all about pulling your brain out of that internal panic storm and back into the real world. Just follow the 5-4-3-2-1 rule. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can physically feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. It's a simple, powerful way to tell your brain, hey, I'm actually safe right now.
Now, what about the long game? For long-term healing, it's all about consistency and building good foundations. Things like regular, gentle exercise, walking, yoga, anything like that, are fantastic for regulating your nervous system. A balanced diet and good hydration are key. And of course, practices like mindfulness or meditation can make a world of difference. For a lot of people, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is the gold standard for really getting to the root of anxious thought patterns.
All right, let's bring it all home in our final section, Section 5, a new mind-body view. If any of this has felt familiar to you, I really want you to hear this. You are so not alone. Just think about this statistic for a second. About 15% of all people who go to the emergency room for chest pain are actually found to have severe anxiety. This is a deeply human experience that a lot of people share.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The pain feels real because it is real. Stress is just the thing driving the physical sensation. This is not all in your head. Your body is having a legitimate, physical response to an emotional trigger, and that pain is valid and deserves to be taken seriously.
So, we'll leave you with a different way to think about this. What if that alarm going off in your chest isn't a sign that your body is broken? What if it's not a malfunction at all, but a signal? A really loud, impossible-to-ignore call to action, letting you know that it's time to start caring for your mind just as seriously as you would care for your heart.